Welcome to the Times of Industry show. Man, do I have a no fluff, all content interview for you guys today. If you do not know Kris Krohn, this is the best chance to get to know one of the up and coming stars, actually stars in the real estate market in the States. Just turned 40, entrepreneur, the Kris Krohn Power Team. Love this guy. I think you're going to learn a lot about just how to get off the couch and get into real estate. We have a U.S. president who's a real estate billionaire. I don't have to tell you, 76% of American millionaires over the past 250 years have come from real estate. This country was built on construction, and we have an entire generation, 75 million people who have not formed families yet, the millennials, and we're going to talk about how that impacts real estate. Kris, for people who don't, first of all, thank you for being here. And for people who do not know you, tell us a little bit about yourself, like in 20, 30 seconds. Tell everyone so they can understand exactly who they're going to listen to today.
Awesome, guys. Hey, nice to meet you all. And thanks, Lior, for having me today on the show. So, in my personal life, I became financially free at the age of 26. When everyone else was graduating college, I got my degree, and then I also no longer needed to work because I hacked a system in real estate. Since I've gone on to do $1 billion worth of real estate on thousands of transactions, and basically developed a system and niche. And I buy a house every single day. And most of those houses average an ROI between 25 and 30% annual return. So I got a team of 200 experts. We're out there slaying it in the game of real estate, and it's pretty recession proof. So whether market's going up or down, we're out there crushing real estate. I got a YouTube channel. Every day dropping videos, teaching people all about it.
That's very exciting. And obviously you're exactly the type of person I want to run some very important questions by. First of all, let's start with this. Kris, for people who do have a career right now, or people that are semi-retired, retired, doesn't matter, have zero interest right now in real estate and zero time or little to no time, right? They have their own careers. They just want the best part-time way to get into real estate. One, what should they do? Two, is there a particular market or a particular niche or a particular strategy that you would say, this is as easy as it comes or as simple as it comes, and I think you can start this with very minimal risk, minimal margin of error. The learning curve would not kill you, and you will get through this thing.
So, Lior, first, I just got to say for every one of you listening, if you don't have a plan for adding massive amounts of real estate to your portfolio, you're not taking advantage of the American government, the Constitution, the tax laws, tax codes, and you're not building up a residual income. I almost got fleeced, had the wool pulled over my eyes when I was in college. I wanted to be a doctor. And I'm so glad I didn't go down that road, because I may have been one of the highest earning in our country by way of job. But the reality is we're trading dollars for hours. And as long as you're in some type of game where you're trading dollars for hours, you're going to get screwed. You won't know it in your 20s. You won't know it in your 30s. In your 40s, you're going to start smelling. In your 50s, you're going to figure it out. You're going to panic. Why? Because you're told, put money in your 401k, put money in your IRA, and pay off your house. What's the problem with that? At the rate that you save money on average, you're going to put so little in your 401k and IRA that by the time you retire, you might have $100,000, $500,000. What's that going to do when you're accustomed to 60, 80, or 100 grand a year? It's going to last you for 4 to 7 years. Now, listen, right now, modern medicine is keeping us alive way longer than that. So everyone has a need, especially in their prime, to figure out how to do something smarter. I just turned 40 years old, and I've been financially independent now for the last 15 years. I want to tell you something about that. I've been able to travel all around the world, live in any house I want, drive supercars. And at the end of the day, the reality is that some of us will get a chance to live an amazing life, and a lot of us are going to get super cramped by the time we get up into our 50s, because we're going to realize I should have been saving more, and I should have been investing way more intelligent than stupid 401ks, IRAs, fear-driven, tiny ROIs that'll never get you where you want to go. So I think this is something that if you're ignoring it, then you just haven't been financially educated. On the other hand, real estate can be super risky, so I don't blame you. There's a lot of people that don't actually take action or do anything with it, because it's like, well, what should I do? You tell me to get a part-time job flipping houses or trying to be a landlord? Like, who wants to phone? I can't blame you on that. The question is there a smarter way? Is there a more intelligent way? And I've now done over 4,000 transactions that are all identical. I go to the best markets around the United States. I bring investors from all over the world, and I help them buy real estate that is the most intelligent. So if I wanted to share with you the niche real quick, I do a short-term buy and hold, 5 to 7 years on properties that I purchase well under the national median. My average purchase price is $143,000. And I hold these homes, I rent them, and then I sell them strategically. And with 300 plus markets in the United States, the reality is only 4 or 5 of them are the best, head and shoulders above the rest. So if you know what those markets are, if you have a trusted team, there's a way to go in that market of appreciation, massive cash flow, and massive tax benefit. That's pretty much what I do all day long, is I have a team that will basically go in this niche and buy me the best real estate. And I'll throw in one more thing. Right now, you're right. The millennials want something different than the previous generation. They don't want the wealth handed down. They're not interested in ownership. They're interested in mobility. The single family asset class has always been powerful, but we're going to move from a 70% American owned home ownership statistic, and that number is going to drop into the mid 50s. That means we're going to see a massive shift from people no longer desiring home ownership, and rentals is going to go even more through the roof. So producing a 25 to 30% annual ROI, it's only going to get stronger. And this is a sector that will be ignored less and less. It's where by 26, I made my first couple $1 million. I produced my first 6-figure residual income, and then I just blew it out of the water by saying, hey, it's working. Now let's maximize it.
That's beautiful. I love how you encapsulated. You basically look at the entire U.S. as one market and then divide it into mini markets and say, hey, where is there what I like to call forced appreciation? Where is the median income so affordable compared to the house that the home prices must go up? You go in there, you sit for 5 to 7 years in good rental income, and then you flip it. I understand that completely. And the fact that you have a team is obviously what helps you leverage so much. I want to ask you, in terms of what you talked about, millennials, you did talk about this national average for home ownership. Home ownership has been the American dream since the baby boomers. After the post-war generations, they wanted that. I actually Lovett Towns, whoever doesn't know Mr. Lovett, he came up with this idea of these identical suburbs all over America, and people got hooked to that idea. In Europe, like you say, people the home ownership is about 50%. People rent forever, and they don't mind. I want to talk to you about the millennials. Where are they going? Which areas of the country are you going to see job growth? Are you going to see population growth? Are you going to see better organic growth going forward?
So this is actually a really good question. I don't know if I would link it to millennials though. What I do is I actually look at population growth and its trends in the markets that have the strongest economies, but where you actually have the lowest, you've got the most wage earned growth, but you also have your median home price that is artificially low and you're expecting it to boom. So it's one thing to identify what I call a growth market where you're going to get massive appreciation. Millennials in general, they're moving from this idea of security to mobility. They want freedom. They don't want what our parents wanted. They don't want to pay their dues. And it's not that they're lazy. They just grew up with different technology where they expect more from the world today, and the opportunities that are harder, they just ignore them. And oftentimes it's industries that are actually on their way out anyway. So they're leveraging technology to often work from home or, like I said, have that ability to move around. As far as growth markets goes, I took a look at my last 4,000 deals and I put them into a document here that really walks through the hottest markets. What are they? And I'll just give you a shortcut to some of the answers. This document's my last several thousand deals. It's a document that actually there's a link below in the description. You can actually pick this up for free. My company will send it out to you. But my average purchase price was $143,000. My hottest growth market right now in all of America, out of 300 plus markets, is Orlando. There are 12 specific counties in Orlando, north and south of the parks, where we are having unprecedented growth. It's been consistent for over a decade. And at the rate that people are migrating and working in the entertainment industry and tourism industry, those numbers are on the rise. So in those markets, it's pretty typical for us to see ROIs over 30%. And we've been consistently doing that on our money for the last 7 years since we actually opened that market. With where the market's headed, we're still purchasing properties around 160,000 on average. And that market is expected to jump over $230,000 at the rate that the population is growing over the next 5 years. So there's a lot of super exciting things happening in that market. That's a fantastic growth market. Jumping ahead though, I would say that the top cash flowing markets right now we have are in Memphis and in Indianapolis. In those two areas, we're getting cash on cashes consistently over 9, 10+%, with overall ROI over mid-20s, 25, 26%.
That's very interesting. I have been investing in Orlando for a few years. It's such a hot market. I think it's the number one hottest market in the States. Okay, Kriss, what now in retrospect, you have about 20 years of experience in real estate. Is there a particular person who cannot succeed in real estate? Or what would be some of the personality attributes that you would say, okay, you know what? You cannot be consistently successful if you don't improve 1, 2, 3. And on the flip side, what are 3 great personality attributes that you would say, if you have these, you can really start, you can parachute me in my underwear anywhere in America, and in 1 year I'll have success. I don't need the money. I can make it happen. I can find the partners. I can do whatever.
That is a fantastic question. I'm going to actually respond a little bit maybe unexpected on this one. My personal experience is that all investors get put into 1 of 2 buckets, but because we're not honest with ourselves, we can't put ourselves in the right bucket. And the reality is some of us are do-it-yourselfers and some of us are do-it-for-me's. The do-it-yourselfers are the people that are, they like to be controlling, they like to be hands-on, they want to drive to Lowe's or Home Depot, they want to do 30 truckload trips back and forth, they want to even maybe do some of the repairs, they want to be hands-on in the trench. And for people like that, I've got to recommend for you. But the other bucket first that I think you should be aware of is, are you the kind of person that likes it done for you? My first 25 homes, I had my hand on the wheel, and then I got sick of it. I was pulling my hair out. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. So I basically started building a team saying, listen, I'm not doing anything unique or different. I'm not adding any new value. I know the system. I documented it here in my book. So just follow the system and build it for me. And that's a do-it-yourselfer mindset. And I think people need to get really honest with themselves and just first of all find out, are you a do-it-yourselfer or are you a do-it-for-me? And I've been both. And I have to tell you that you have to be honest with yourself, because if you're not honest with yourself, you're really going to screw it up. For example, you might come across my channel or this channel and hear about someone that, like right now I'm flipping a house and making $100,000+ on it. I'm putting about 3 hours of my time in it. So you can imagine I'm going to make tens of thousands of dollars per my time that I'm putting in that deal. Now I've got a team that is actually doing the work. They're making all that happen for me. And then I get to actually make the money. I am a do-it-for-me kind of person. But if you have a do-it-for-me that pretends they're a hands-on, you will burn yourself out and you will screw yourself over and you will not make the money, because what you're going to do is you're going to short circuit the strategy and say, what's faster, what's more effective, what's more efficient. Reality is I find 7 amazing deals this week and I'll buy them all, but it's because I found 50 amazing deals because I evaluated over 10,000 properties with my research team. So in other words, I don't skimp corners. And if you try to cut a corner, it can really blindside you and hurt you. So you got to ask, be honest out the gate. By the way, you can succeed in both models. Are you a do-it-yourselfer? You know, this book that I wrote, for example, this is actually a brand new edition. It's called The Straight Path to Real Estate Wealth. This is the first of several books that I've written. It's the second edition based on our economy today and the collapse that is impending. I'm so excited, by the way, about the collapse. It made me so much money in '08. And if you know what you're doing, you can buy real estate now and crush it. And then in the crash, you can buy more real estate and crush it even more. But for the do-it-yourselfer, and by the way, on this channel, there's a book that you can actually access for free. But if you get this book, it will give you the how-to manual of how you do it on your own. For those of you that are honestly saying, no, Kriss, I'm actually more of I'm going to have someone do it for me, then what you need to do is vet and find a super competent team that you trust that has a lengthy track record. And I've got this document that I give people for free that says, this is what it looks like as an example to get a track record of someone that knows exactly what they're doing. So I think you need to classify yourself appropriately. As far as attributes go, to kind of kick on that a little bit, if you are a do-it-yourselfer, you need to be consistent, you need to be disciplined, and you need to be an action taker. Those 3 things, when people miss them, they're not going to do what it takes. For the person that is more of a, I want this done for me, you need to be thorough in doing your due diligence and make sure that whoever you're working with has a worthy track record, that you're mentoring and working with someone that has experienced 10 times or 100 times beyond what it is you want to achieve at your highest pinnacle, because they've been through the rodeo so many times, they're not going to screw it up. Anyway, that's my answer to your question.
Kriss, do you think that for people who really want this part-time, that they should distance themselves from the risk of any particular house, any particular home, that anything can go wrong with it, etc., and they should just invest in REITs, for example? There are REITs out there, publicly traded or private, and they invest in stuff that most of us don't have access to. Like, you can buy REITs of companies that rent to the U.S. government. You can buy REITs that do hospitals, nurseries, theme parks. I mean, mini storage. Just comment on the difference between owning a house yourself with leverage or without, and owning a REIT. Because if you believe that the management company of the REIT knows how to add value, then hey, why not piggyback on them if you lack those skills yourself?
So the first thing that I would say is that the most dangerous person in your investment operation is you. One of my mentors I'd paid over $1 million to over 7 years, as I was learning from him, taught me this one lesson. He said, the most dangerous information to you is what you don't know. And when you're a newbie and you're trying to wear all of the hats, all you have to do is slip up once to actually really screw it up real bad royally. Get a bad taste in your mouth and maybe have never another go at it again. So no matter what you do, you need to leverage the experience of other people. If you're not doing that, that's one of the most dangerous things that happens to do-it-yourselfers. You tend to be lone wolves. You read a book and then you just want to go when what you really need is oversight. You need someone that can catch the obvious errors and even some of the less obvious errors that you're not aware of. So that just kind of responds to the first question that you threw out there. As far as REITs go, I have a love-hate relationship with REITs. I do agree that my love is that they can give you access to storage units, theme parks, commercial, a lot of things that you don't have enough money to get involved with. What I hate so often about REITs is that based on the way they do the management, they're often paying out a 3, 5, 8, or 9% ROI, which, by the way, is superior to a lot of funds and options out there. But it's still, in principle, not enough. You're giving up so much control that you're actually forfeiting ROI. So one of the things that it took me a long time to figure out was whether you become financially free or even financially secure comes down to ROI management. The majority of us have our money placed in things earning 3, 5, 8, 9%. Bottom line is, with the rule of 72, do the math. It is not enough to compound enough to produce what you want by the time you get to your retiring years. I find that you need a healthy balance in your diversification, but if you don't have assets that are producing 20, 30+%, then your money's not growing enough. One of my rules is I have to double my money every 5 years. And I think that's one of the reasons why I've done so well is I've got this mighty filter that says I need assets that can produce that without the risk. And when I do, then I actually perform better. You have to ask yourself, at your age, do you really want a 30-year plan, a 20-year plan, a 50-year plan? Or do you want a 10-year plan or a 7-year plan? Well, if you want to compress time, you're going to need to find a way to safely access a higher ROI. So I'll just tell you right now that if REITs had a higher ROI, I would be more interested. A minor diversification, sure. The problem with most Americans is that we put almost all of our money into vehicles that have such a low combined ROI, average ROI. We're never going to get where we want to go, and we're stupid. We're not doing the math. We're not pulling out the calculator and realizing I'm screwed. I'm saving, I'm putting my money, and I'm blind to the fact that I could pull out the calculator and find out in less than a minute that I'm screwed. And if you're screwed, you need to change the plan. A plan that doesn't work is a broken plan. Almost every American is exerting lots of effort and energy on a regular basis on a plan that will never get them where they want to go, which is why you have to become a financial genius. You've got to be studying. You've got to be reading from the greats, Dalio, others. You got to find people that have massive track record and then figure out what have they learned that I can't in 1 or 2 or 10 lifetimes, so I can start leveraging more of that knowledge.
Love it. Love it. Kriss, quickly, 2 questions before I get on to some bigger questions. One, just yes and no, and then name it. Is there any market right now in the U.S. do you think is a bubble?
Yes.
Which?
I would say almost every single almost every single market right now in the U.S. is a bubble. We're over our rebuild cost. All the builders are coming in, spec builders are coming in, and the reason why is because there's enough margin there, and the bubble always pops and heads into a trough.
Interesting. So, second question, and you led right onto it. Is there a recession or a crash in real estate coming? And is it because we're overbuilding, or is it because of something else?
Good question. So I'm not a genius. I'm just citing history. We have a 3,000-year track record on tracking the K-wave or Kondratyv cycle. This is a cycle that says every 12 to 20 years we have an economic reset. And we see that in the stock market, although it's way less predictable than real estate. Real estate, you can see from a mile away. It goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. It goes spring, summer, fall, winter, spring. It never goes out of order. That's the amazing thing about real estate. So right now, 2008 was nearly 12 years ago. We are now entering the zone where at some point there has to be a correction. When will it be? It's a measure of the distance between the actual cost to supply a property and build and the actual markup on it. The greater the markup, the bigger the bubble, the closer we are to actually having that bubble pop. You need to plan on it popping. This is why I purchase properties in the $140,000 range. Biggest mistake people make right now is when the market and economy is doing well, they can buy more and afford more, so they buy more expensive. $1 million home in a recession becomes a $500,000 home. And a $500,000 home becomes a $300,000 home. And a $300,000 home becomes a $220,000 home. And 220 becomes 180, and 180 becomes 165, and 165 becomes 155, and 155 becomes 150. Are you getting it? The number diminishes the closer you get underneath the national median.
Sure.
Basically, at and above the median, you're going to be hurt. At and below the median, you're going to have greater safety.
Sure, like a car. You buy an exotic sports car. It's worth $1 million. First year, you lose 200,000. Boom. I really like the example. I was looking at the houses in California. The realtor says, just wait. This house was worth X. Now it's worth 0.7X. I think it's going to be worth 0.5X. And we're talking great real estate in California. Okay. So I know your time is valuable. I'm just going to ask you one more question, and then I'll let you talk a little bit about your book because I'm excited about it. It looks amazing. I know you have a special offer for everyone. You're just going to hand out the book for free. So I'll let you plug in that link because I don't know. For me, whenever the word free comes along, I think it's a no-brainer, right? So, Kriss, in terms of real estate right now, the average person that we're going back to something that's valuable to the audience. The average person, he has a career, 40s, 50s, 60, and what you're doing, you have a business in real estate. That's where you're able to create incredible returns. Obviously, for somebody who's just a buy and hold, these returns are not that realistic. How can people tap into your knowledge, tap into your data, partner with you? Is there any sort of a way for people to bridge that gap? How expensive is it to bridge that gap? Or in other words, what's the return on investment for partnering with a company like yours? And would you say that it's a matter of money? Like, hey, I'll give you 100,000, bringing back 150, or is there give me 100,000 plus give me your time, give me your energy, give me your effort, and then it'll compound to something that is more realistic. Talk about the kind of the way that Kris Krohn works.
So I found, once again, I'm going to use the 2-bucket analogy. Either people got money or they don't. If you have money, you may be confused. If you have money in a 401k, an IRA, home equity, sitting in an annuity or the stock market, you have money. You might only keep a few grand in your bank account and feel like you're poor, but the reality is you have what I call hidden assets. So you either have money or literally you're starting the way that I did. I was deeply in debt. I had no money. I had no savings. And I climbed out of all of that starting from nothing. And if you know which of those buckets you're in, I'm a huge proponent as a natural freedom fighter, to help give people an opportunity to lift up and elevate their own life. The beautiful thing about being in America, and there's people from all over the world that have this MBA and come here because there is a real shot at having real freedom, but you got to have the right opportunity. And in real estate, I feel like I've seen just about every opportunity there is. What I do specifically is I either find people that have money, and if they come to my YouTube channel, they consume my videos, and they like what they read and see, they have an opportunity to see if they qualify to become a partner of mine. Literally, they'll put up the money. My team will do all of the work, and then we actually just do a 50-50 split on profits. And the goal is to let that compound over the next 10 to 20 years so that we start off with 25% returns, grow to 50% returns, grow to 100% returns, 200% returns, and then on and on and on. So I will actually pick some people. We do have a kind of strict criteria for who we want to actually have that arrangement with. But there is actually a link below where you can learn more about that. And that would be, getting the track record document and saying, hey, what's this about? What does your track record honestly really look like? For the people that don't have any money, I just released something a few months ago. I think it's probably one of the most fulfilling things I've ever done in real estate. I've never seen this done before. But I basically said, if you got no money like when I had no money, then you have to become a master of resource. The deals are out there. You just got to find the money. And instead of finding money, find people. Find people that realize that they're financially in trouble and realize that they need to build a stronger retirement and that they need to compress time and do it way faster. And I said, basically, it's a simple referral program. Refer people in, and if they choose to partner with me, I'll cut in my profits equally with them. And basically, I've got people walking into real estate right now that have no money and no credit. And so there's also some information in the links below. Bottom line is, whether you got money, you can get out there and do it. You have no excuse. If you don't have money, you can get out there and do it. You have no excuse. And I think that's the most important thing I can share today is don't take advice from your pocketbook. Don't take advice from your wallet. Don't take advice from your calendar that tells you if you do or don't have time. If you want something, you possess the mightiest resource to get it. It's the real estate between your 2 ears and being aligned with someone that has the right opportunity. So whether you do or don't have money, just know there's always a way. And if you want to learn more about that, you can certainly search me out, Kris Krohn, on my YouTube channel, and you'll learn a lot more about that.
Chris, on Netflix right now, there's a 3-part series called Inside the Mind of Bill Gates or something similar. I watched it. The guy worked, I think since the age of 10, he's like working like 15, 20-hour days. He used to lick the energy powder, like a Gatorade type powder on his hand to not fall asleep, get into the programming. This other guy that founded Microsoft with him, Paul M., used to wake him up. He comes up. He knows exactly where he stopped, like on the computer, can continue coding. He's a workaholic. Wife says it. Everyone says it. When you started, how much work did you put in?
It's interesting that you asked that because today I probably was classified as that workaholic like Bill Gates. And one of the lessons that I had to learn with time is that success without fulfillment is meaningless. So it's one thing to have all the nice materialistic things and have freedom, but if you don't have your time, you have nothing. So time and health have become really important to me. Generally speaking, I don't do any work prior to noon. I've got 4 kids. I put my time and effort into them. And when something is worthy in business, I now have a team and I basically let them run it. In other words, don't strive to be a business operator. Strive to be a business owner. An operator gets tired, an owner gets rich. So you got to get smart with your money. You got to get smart with leverage. And I think that's just really important. So I'm using a lot more time leverage today than I ever have before, where other than making YouTube videos and checking in on my team from time to time, I'm out doing the world travel, parenting my kids, and creating value in those ways.
That's awesome. Okay, the link will be below. How can people access your book? Talk about the link a little bit, and then we'll wrap it up.
So this book, I've had people literally read this book and then go on to make millions in real estate and come back and thank me for it. This has been the means of people doing deals when they wouldn't have before. There's a lot of real estate books out there, but I never found that there was one tangibly that first said there's a best way of doing real estate, and then these are the steps. This book actually compares the top real estate strategies, claims there's a best way, proves there's a best way, and then shows you exactly how to do it. So this book, as you can imagine, has been super, super popular. I just updated it because I'm so looking forward to the next recession. I'm like kid in a candy shop, really pumped about it. And so this book, my goal is I always go to the printing press and order 10,000 extra. And as long as they're available, we basically just ship them out to people. We ask that you cover the shipping on the book. And other than that, the book is yours. It's a gift. I personally hope that it furthers your efforts into crushing it in real estate. And so there's a link below. And there are no strings attached. It's literally just cover the basic shipping costs. The book is yours. And my sincere hope and wish is that it betters your life.
Kris Krohn, thank you very much for taking the time. Let's circle back once that next recession comes in. And exactly. Let's see what you're up to, what you're doing. and just a great all-around person. I love your energy, love your enthusiasm, and I love that you build a business where you can bring people in and elevate their lives, and as you say, split it 50-50. That can't get any better than that. So thank you for jumping on the call here.
Awesome, brother. Appreciate you guys. You real estate mavericks, go out there and freaking crush it.